see my screen. See if we can do that. Looks very black on my side.
On our side too.
Yeah, that's like, I'm just saying, this is one of those days where just like things just don't want to work. So what I'm trying to show you this is a.
Yes.
Okay, got it. So the thing we're going to talk about today, which isn't just something I have made up for the fun of it, but it's actually a part of level 2. And for those of you guys who don't know, the Unbreakable Mind path comes in 4 different levels. Level 0 is the mental strength challenge. That's the free part that everybody does. And then you go through level 1, which is physical resiliency, mental resiliency, and then the level 3 team component. And those are the 3 arenas that we always talk about. And then we have level 4, which is the arete. And arete is basically one huge challenge that we go through to test all of this together to make sure we have incorporated the lessons and we can deal with real life situations. So we're going to take a peek inside level 2 now. You get a little sneak peek here now, because unless you have leveled up, you will not see these things. So it's a little sneak peek. And one of them that we have in here is the offensive mindset. And all this that we're doing today is based on the mental resiliency components. And before we get going, we take mental strength apart into 3 components: mind, body, and team. But in reality, there's no such thing as this separation. It's all one. It's just me. That's it. But we take them apart so we can look at them and we can realize, okay, what are the things that we need to develop within these arenas? But they all work together. We always need to remember that. There's no, we talk about mind and body, but it's just me. We just take them apart to look at them, see if we can improve something, but it's all in the context of you. It's very important. So talking about the subject today, one of the biggest lessons that I got from the military is that this forward momentum, always trying to keep going, is usually better than just waiting for the perfect response, result, or whatever. And the military is so good in that sense, because it will just, it makes everything very tangible and very life and death, right? Because this default forward comes from the idea that, okay, if we don't make a decision and we stay here and we wait, we will most likely die, because we will give up our position to the enemy and they will understand where we are and we're effed, right? So that's a really easy life in some sense. It keeps you moving, because if you don't move, you die. The problem I realized in real life, in business or whatever it is, that this death, it happens so slowly. It happens over a 10-year period or a 20-year period, and it happens inside. We don't physically die, we mentally die. So we might look as we are alive, we might look as we're going forward, but deep inside we know that we haven't moved closer to our goals. And that's the downward spiral we talk about. Like, time passes, but we're not going towards where we want to go, because we're waiting maybe for an opportunity, or we're maybe waiting for the perfect email, or we're waiting for whatever it is that will come to us like this epiphany so we can move on with life. Does that make any sense to you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. So the beautiful thing in the army, they just, and it sounds something like this in Swedish. En beslut i tid är bättre än ett perfekt beslut för sent. And it basically goes, a decent decision made in time will always be better than a perfect decision made too late. So you have the perfect decision, but artillery is already on you, it's game over. So how do we do this in real life then? That's the question, and that's what we're going to talk about today. And hopefully I'll give you a few tools that you can play around with to keep you moving, to keep you going forward. And I will try to make it as actionable as possible, and we'll try to make it so that you will get to workshop this on this call. Hopefully we'll be done with this in maybe 30 minutes or something like that, and then we can have a little after chat and kind of like, just talk about what we just been through and see if there's anything we can learn from that. Does that sound good? Yeah. And perfect. And as we go, just let me know your thoughts and what your needs are, because that's why we're here. There are a lot of people watching this in replays, but you came here and you're spending the time. So I want to honor that. So blast your questions whenever you have them. Anyone here knows about Jocko Willink? Have you heard about that guy? Yeah. So Rich, do you remember when he talks about the default aggressive or default forward, stuff like that?
No, I've only watched one, I think, of his videos on YouTube.
Yeah. He's, I think he's one of those love or hate kind of guys, right? But one thing I really think he's good at, or two things I think he does really well. One, he talks about extreme ownership, which comes to like, no matter if it logically makes sense or not, if you assume ownership of that situation, at least you'll try to impact it. If you do the opposite and you just say, everything that happens to me is a result of whatever happened, then you're the victim of your circumstances, right? So that's one thing I really like with him, extreme ownership. The other thing that's really good is that he has similar type of idea when it comes to default forward, always keeping the momentum up, always taking a step forward. So that means, as far as I see it, if I don't know what to do, at least I'll go forward. If I don't know where to go, at least I'll take a step in some direction. Because what happens when we start moving? What happens when we do something?
We
What would you
start
say? What
figure
happens?
out if it's the correct. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, something happens, right? At least maybe we'll bump into an obstacle, and at least that's something, right? So if we start moving, we'll either get the thing we wanted, or we will get the lesson we needed. But we can't get anything unless we move. So that's like the foundation here. So if I don't know where to go, I don't know what to do, I'm just going to do something. Right? I'm just going to send a crappy email. I'm going to go for a not so perfect run. I'm going to do something, because the chances are that I will get a lesson from that. Either I get the result that I wanted or the lesson that I needed. So that's the main idea that we're talking about now. Like the idea that it's better to move in the wrong direction than it is to stay put in I don't know what type of position. And the other thing that I want to say, that this staying in action is not necessarily about you have to move or you have to do something. The action or the movement could also be just deciding to wait. So if you decide to wait on a project or on a task, then suddenly it doesn't become procrastination. It becomes a decision you've made. So you don't have to do things, but you have to make a decision about it. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
So the movement or the action, it's usually based on a decision. So what I'm going to work with you on today is getting to a decision point. And that decision point is so vital when we want to keep moving, because sometimes we have to say, this thing here is going to be on pause so I can move forward with something else. But we have to make that decision. We can't just have it linger around in the background. All right. Let's see here. The challenge we have for this thing inside Unbreakable Mind is that we're going to identify one zone that we have, where we are stuck now, where we don't know where to go, but it's lingering in our back of our mind. It's this uncertainty, and we've been maybe looking away from it or procrastinating or whatever you call it. And we're just going to dive into that thing right now. Like, we're going to get into whatever it is that we need to work on. And I think all of us have something that we are kind of like maybe looking away from a little bit, tilting away, saying, I don't know what to do. I see a lot of interesting faces now, like, yeah, maybe that's correct. Yeah. So no, absolutely not. Everything is crystal clear. Okay. I saw a funny quote today from a guy, and he said, if you want to build self-confidence, just go after the things that makes you scared. And this is the Unbreakable Mind way, right? And listen to that little inner voice, because most often we already know where to go. And if we don't know where to go, at least if we take a step, we realize if it's wrong or not, or maybe we'll get a lesson. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go straight into the exercise here, straight into the workshop. And we're going to find one, what I call stuck zone, or one thing that we are stuck. Could be something that we've been putting off. maybe this is a goal we keep planning, but we never start. I know you said something about that, Rich, that you have somewhere where you want to go, but haven't really gotten on the path to it. Or it could be a conversation, a workout, a risk, whatever it may be, but something that's been in the back of your mind. Maybe it's a purchase. Simple as that, it's just something that's lingering around. So you're going to take a piece of paper or a digital piece of paper, and you're going to just write that down. Make it super clear to yourself what it is. That make sense? Great. A thumbs up from you too, Robin, if you're with me.
Mhm. Paper.
All right, let's see. Thumbs up if you're ready. Thank you. Great. How about you, Robin? How are you doing?
Yep.
So this could be how big or how small you ever want it. In my case, something that I know is of high value and that just tends to not happen is to record my podcast. Like, it's something I just know is high leverage and is important to me, but it tends to disappear for some reason. Like, I don't really know why. So I'm going to take the opportunity to do this journey with you as well and figure out why the heck it doesn't happen, and hopefully get the momentum and keep going. So this is not like, I just want to show you guys that I'm also on the journey. Like, it never really ends, but all these tools we have, we can apply them as we discover more things about ourselves. Right? So I use all the things we talk about. Okay, anybody wants to share what they have that they're like kind of stuck on?
I would like to clarify my role into the company because I'm doing everything. So I don't know exactly which is my job and expectations from my managers.
Okay, I like it. How about you, Rich? Do you want to share? If you don't want to, it's totally fine as well.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, I'm doing a course at the moment that I'm not enjoying. I'm finding the learning material a bit hard to understand, a bit abstract, and I'm at the point where I'm just thinking, I'll give up. Do I really need to get this course, get this qualification? Is it going to do anything for me?
Yeah, got it. Thank you. And Robin?
Begin writing stuff because friends are beginning to ask me to write down stuff because they want to know how I figured things out. And
Yeah.
I can't spend hours talking to a whole bunches of people.
Okay, got it. So we all now have one zone or one thing that we are stuck on. Now we also want to make sure that this is something actually worth moving forward with. So I want to give you a quick second here and just say, yes, this is actually something that is valuable to me, or no. And the best part, if it's a no, it's actually not valuable, because then you just throw it out the window, and that's the best and easiest way to save time, is just to say, it's not actually important to me. So then the question is, what the heck makes something important? Anybody has like a framework for what's important or not? How do you decide that something is important? It's interesting, right? Because oftentimes when I ask this question, it oftentimes becomes blank, which is interesting, because it should be super obvious to us what makes something important, because if we don't know what makes it important, we don't know what's important, and then we don't know what to do. So then we stay stuck. Make sense? So that's a little bit of a trick here. So a big part of this is to understand, okay, what is worth doing and what's important. So my definition of this, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, is that something is important if it leads us towards our goals in an effective way. So it goes towards our goals, and it's an effective way of doing it. Not efficient, but effective. Something is more important if it is more effective at leading us towards our goal. Make sense? So this is all about speed, right? We have a goal, and if we can choose a path that takes us there in 6 months instead of 10 years with the same resources or even less resources, then I would say that the one that takes 6 months with less resources is more effective. Therefore, it is more important than the other ones. So that's a logical approach to it. So this means that we need to have some type of goal. Because if we don't have a goal, we don't know which direction to take. And that means no direction is more valuable than any other direction, which means there's no reason to go anywhere. And we stay stuck. Does this track? Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because it's super important, that thing, to have something to aim for. And we're going to talk a little bit about that later on as well, that we don't have to have a perfect vision. And that's why we nowadays in Unbreak Mind don't really talk about goal. We talk about direction. So we don't need to have this perfect thing that we're going to go to. We just need a freaking direction to go, because then we can start. We can go somewhere. And if we go somewhere, what happens then, Ina?
Just go.
We go everywhere and nowhere.
Yeah, we go somewhere, right? And we get to discover things, and we get to see if it's the right path or the wrong path. But we get either the results we wanted or the lessons we needed.
Mhm.
But we need to
Yeah.
go. Right? Okay, so movement, and so we just need a direction. That's what. So now that you know that the things in your life that effectively leads you towards your goals are important, you also know that everything that doesn't do that are less important. So now you have a hierarchy of things in your life. It might look something like this. Up here, you have the most effective things. And at the bottom here, you have the things that are the least effective. So you'll have a bunch of things in your life that are, let's say you want to get fit. I'll just make a simple example. You want to get fit. That's your goal. And then you define fit as having good cardio, being strong. What's it called? Good cardio. Let's just put it that way. So then you could do a walk, right? You could do some walking. That's good. It's always good to move a bit. And then you can lift some weights. That's also good, right? But then you could do the VO2 max sessions, which is the most highly effective way of increasing your ability to take up oxygen from the air. So your VO2 max sessions will be up here. It will be the most effective way to get to where you want to go, which means those sessions will be your most important things. Everything else is going to work, but they're not as effective. So you have a hierarchy. Does that make sense? Am I making a mess out of this?
Yeah.
Yes.
So once you have a goal, you can get the hierarchy, and once you have the hierarchy, you can remove things, or you can remove all the things that are not as effective. That's super important. All right. So now that's what I want you to do with the task we just set up here. For me, it's the recording of podcast, because chances are you're procrastinating on something or not doing it because it's actually not worth doing. And that's great. But then we need to know that, because maybe that recording podcast ends up down here on my list. And that's why I'm subconsciously not doing it, because it's actually not high value. But until I figure out my hierarchy of things, I can't move on, because it's still going to be there. Oh, I should be doing this. So with this in mind, I want you to take your task and I shove it into your hierarchy. A general feel here. Is it top of the thing, or is it bottom stuff? And once you're done with that, just give me a thumbs up or a backflip, or I don't know, shoot a firecracker or something. Are we ready to move on? It looks like it. Perfect. Thank you. Okay. So far, pretty simple, right? No strangeness. This process that we're doing today now will, after you've done this a little bit deeper with me today, will take 1 minute in the future. Because once you have that hierarchy, you just realize, okay, here's something I'm procrastinating on, or it's not happening. Then you're going to go like, okay, I'm going to check it towards my hierarchy. Is this something that is actually important, or is it not important? And if it's not important, I'm just going to trash it. And if it's important, then we're going to do the next step. Okay, was this an important thing to you? Do you want to carry on, or do you need to pick something else? Just a quick thumbs up if you want to move forward. Excellent. Okay, great. So the next step is very simple. Simple doesn't always mean easy, of course, but the questions we've got to ask ourselves is, okay, if I now assume life in this default forward or default aggressive thinking, what would that look like? What would be the next step? And not plan, not this perfect ideal thing, just what is the next step? What can I do within 24 hours? That is the next step. That's what you want to figure out now. In the case of Ina, maybe it's like, okay, I just need to send an email to schedule the conversation, right? That's an example. I'm not saying that's what you choose, but that could be one thing. Maybe for Rick, is it Rich or Rick? I want to make sure I get this.
Yeah.
Rich,
So-
okay, good. I was nailing it. Whew. That's why you're still on here. You just hasn't blocked it yet. Yeah, maybe for you, it would just be just getting on the path to get going. What do I know? But it just needs to be a step, not a full, complete plan. All right. Okay, so my next step is very simple. It's just schedule a freaking time per week where I'm going to sit down and do it. And that leads us into this time budget we talked about in the email. Because here's where it becomes interesting, at least for me, because I'm interested in my own problems, I guess. Okay, what do you guys have for next step? Tiny little things that will get you going. What do you got, Robin?
Time, when, how.
You got it. And you, Rich?
Yeah. In the background. I've got a call with somebody to understand what the implications are if I throw the course away. I'll stop the course.
Okay.
I.e., do I have to pay or can I defer? What my options are?
Yeah. So, and in your next step, what is your next action towards that?
Well, I've emailed the person. They've replied. That was this morning, and we've got a call on Monday.
Okay, perfect. So the next step you need to do would be that call. I understand it correctly.
Call on Monday. Yeah.
Perfect, nice. And Ina?
One of the steps I need to do is to choose what I can and I want to do further. But because there are so many, I don't know exactly. So in parallel, I note it down to pay attention to what I like, to what gives me energy.
Got it. Okay. So one thing that we should be, I guess we should be aware of is that our minds tend, I'm not saying that it's happened to you, but I know, I hear myself going through this sometimes, is that our mind tends to secretly procrastinate or secretly push things forward by taking an action, which is more thinking. You know, it's like, I gotta think about this, or I gotta ask some questions about this, or I gotta, But when I say take action, it's like, okay, in 10 minutes, I'm going to call the person I need to talk to. Right? It's not thinking about the questions. It's not all these supporting things. It's the actual thing. That could be a micro step. So I want to push you guys a little bit now. Like, what is the actual action that will get you there? See if there's something you can find that's less thinking, less analytical, and just more doing. And just trust yourself that you already have the skills, you already have the information. You just need an opportunity to put them into practice. And if it becomes uncomfortable, great. That's a good place to be.
I've heard a podcast about podcast. I've heard a podcast where somebody was saying if you want to go out for a workout, plan by small steps. But I do not see those steps because they were saying prepare the clothes in advance, one in evening in advance, and that one is a step. Get out on the door. This was a step. I do not see it. I do not see the small steps. I see only a long run, which is, yeah, the long steps are very difficult to put in 24 hours.
Okay, so what's the next thing you need to do? What is that to get to where you want to go?
What I wrote here is to make a list of my activity, what I'm doing. After I make the list, to discuss it with my boss, to make detail, to write details about each activity, to see who might be suitable to take over, to make trainings. So everything looks big.
Yeah, and my job here now is kind of pressure you to get going, right? I'm not saying I have solutions or anything, but
Yes.
it sounds to me like it's expanding. Like this turned
Yes.
into a project.
Yes.
What
is how
is
I
stopping you from? Yeah, what is keeping you from just like, I don't know, maybe it's too late now, but like 8 in the morning, just, hey, here's my thought. Is there something keeping you from that?
Besides that, on Friday, my boss will go in vacation in Uganda.
Okay. Okay, so
Okay.
okay, that's a good reason. No, but okay, so then even better. Like you have a deadline now, right? They're leaving through Uganda, so like, does it have to be this project, or can you just talk to the person?
What a smaller thing I feel now that I can do is just pick one small task and delegate it forever.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, and that one I
Yes.
can decide by myself, and I can delegate it by myself. So that would be a start.
Okay, good. I think that's a good start, because that's something that's going to happen in real work, right?
Okay.
It's very easy to say that actions are, sitting down and philosophizing about stuff, or being more brainy about it. But for me, it's like, it's always good to have a good intent behind something. But if someone actually lived that way, they're showing that way, they're giving actions, then that's way more worth.
Okay.
So I always want to have things happen in the real world. That's the outcome. Like, let's say I want to do some type of running again, right? It's a very classic physical example. Then everything that isn't running, like going out and doing the running, has less value. Like reading a book about running isn't better than running. Listening to a podcast isn't better than running. But doing the running is the thing that we want to do. And I just want you to move you as close to that as possible. If you need to have a tough conversation with someone, like thinking about having a tough conversation isn't having it. But having the conversation will solve the problem, or it give you the result or the insight that you needed. Yeah, I think that's so. Just look at the things. Are they like actionable things that will happen in real life? That is the thing. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yes.
And that's the real challenge, because we love, especially if we're prone to procrastination or like keeping back a bit, we love to create these plans and this 13-step formula and the framework, and I need to figure this out. But sometimes you just got to get in the zone and beat people up and get beaten up, and realize, oh, that wasn't bad at all. That was actually super simple. Like, why didn't I do this 2 years ago, right? The worst example I've heard about that, and it's really sad, is that friends of my cousin, when she broke up with her husband, she said, I should have done this 10 years ago. Can you imagine that? Like, I should have done this 10 years ago. She'd been thinking about it, planning it, strategizing about it, and all these things. And then only to realize I should have done it 10 years ago. Like, for me, that's the worst thing. We can make more money but we can make more time. Not yet, at least. So that's why I love action. Another example is that I've had, when I built my first RV, for example, I didn't build this one, but I built another one. People will come up to me, oh, I've been thinking about this for 5 years now, about getting one. And for me, I thought about it 2 weeks, and I'm like, oh, this is a fun idea. And then I got one. And then I sold it. I bought it, built it, and sold it before they had the time to think about the decision. Right? So that's default forward. Like, I don't know what to do, but I'm going to do something. That is the essence of what we're doing. So I want to push you to action, like doing things, not thinking about it, but doing it. And if it feels uncomfortable, then you're probably onto something. Okay, are you with me so far? Still? Okay, good. And ask any questions you have. Okay, now that you have a next step, and it's maybe a little bit uncomfortable. Do we have a thumbs up if it's uncomfortable? Okay, a little bit. Okay, so if you're feeling like this feels fine, then it could be worth twisting it up a bit until you really get to that stage of like, I don't really feel prepared. And sometimes it's really good to be prepared because high consequences, you might lose your life. And heck, I'm all for being prepared. But 99% of the things we do doesn't really need that. You'll be fine. You have the skills most often to figure it out along the way. It's that good idea of, when birds leave their nest, I don't know if this is actually true, but I think it's true. They just push the kids out of the nest and then they, learn how to fly on the way down. Even if it's not true, I think it's a pretty good story. But that's the kind of the thing we want to do with all the things that won't kill us. If it's not going to kill us, let's learn how to fly on the way down. I hope I'm not making you do weird stuff now. Okay, everybody needs a deadline. That's super important. So now the question is, we have our next step. When does it need to be done? So the next step now is when. And this straightforward here as well. When? When will it happen? And I mean, when will this next step happen? So I can come up with this great idea that I need to schedule this thing, but if I don't actually do it, it's like we're back to thinking again, right? Like, God damn it, I thought about it, but I never actually did anything. Which is even worse. I spent time on thinking about it, but I never got it done. So, okay. When will this be done? Is there any reason why we can't get the first step done in the next hour?
You are pushing it.
I am pushing it. That's why it says, oh, yeah. Yeah,
my
sorry,
schedule is over, so I cannot do it in the next hour.
Okay. Yeah. If you have a legit reason, I support you in that. But if you don't, well,
Okay.
that's it. Anything that's keeping us from doing it within the next 60 minutes? No? Good. I like that. So that's usually what I say. If it's so important to get done, then I want to get the action done within the next 60 minutes. That's just how I make sure that I actually get things done and I don't spend another day thinking about it. Okay, now the last few minutes here goes into, because now we have, let's see, we have the thing that we've been thinking about doing or procrastinating, or however you want to call it. We've figured out whether or not this is an important thing. And we used a little hierarchy, which is based on our goals. And we said, yep, this is actually something that's effective. It will take me to where I want to go. Okay, it's important to me. Then I figure out what the heck is the next step. Not the plan, not the big thing, just what the heck, how do I get going, right? Because if I get going, I'll get some lessons or I'll get some results in the best case. But either way, I'll be moving forward. And then the question is, once I figure out what my next step is, when the heck am I going to do it? And I want to make this as soon as possible. Because if something is important, then it probably should be done as soon as possible. That is my thing. And I live my life maybe a little bit backward than a lot of other people. Because I like to do the fun things first. I know a lot of people say like, hey, leave that stuff, you do the busy work first and all that crap, and then you do, eat your dessert later. But the thing is, if you do that, you'll end up, 75 years old, saving everything you wanted to do in life for that age, and realizing, oh, my knees are bad and my back is bad, and now I don't have the money for it. But if you do all the good things now, all the things that are important to you right now, and you do that all the time, the best part is you'll probably not have time to do the boring crap or the things you hate, because you just fill up your days with the things that are really important and valuable and meaningful. And if you die tomorrow, you will have lived what we call the examined life. And there's a beautiful quote by, I'm going to miss it, Socrates or Aristotle, whatever, who says, a life well lived is long enough. So if we pack our lives with the most important things all the time, then it doesn't matter the length. Because when the time has come, a life well lived is long enough. And I think that's such a cool way of living. And then we can go into a whole deeper discussion about your why and what's important in more depth, so we know we're chasing the right goals. But that's another class we do. But that's really the core of the Unbreakable Mind program, figuring out where the heck is meaningful to go, and then shoving so many meaningful and important tasks in our path that everything that is not meaningful and important doesn't have space. That's the main goal. It's the same like when we do the workouts, when I tell you, like, don't think about a pink elephant. You think about a pink elephant, right? But if I instead say, hey, focus on this training and your breathing right now, then nothing else can enter. There's no space for the bad stuff. You just have space for the things you want. So that's the core. Fill your life up with the things that we really want. And fill your days up with things that we really want. Good with me so far?
Yes, but as you speak, like, I don't know, it's an ideal and it's far away from reality, but I understand the logic and the point, and yeah.
Yeah, and you will, when you enter level 2, which is not far away for you, then we will go through in depth what that means to you in your life. Like, we're talking details, like, what the heck is my vision? Like, what will I see? Who do I want to be? What do I want to have? Like, all these things, we will look into details, so you will have that really nice direction. So no worries about that. We'll figure that out. Okay, cool. Now we know when to do it. I want to talk about the things we wrote in the email as like a final thing here, because what often happens, or at least what I experience, is that people set a start time. It's like, oh, we're going to have a meeting. It starts at 2 o'clock. Or I'm going to, whatever. And it starts at 2. But then they don't set when it ends. There's no next hour. It's like, when does it end? When does it stop? So we don't have any resources allocated to this thing. And if we don't have any deadlines or stop to something, things tend to expand. There's a law called, I think it's Parkinson's law. Do you know about this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? That, do you remember what that is about?
Yeah, it's work will expand to the time that's made available.
Exactly. So if you give something 4 hours, it's going to take 4 hours, right? It's just, but the thing is, if we say, I'm going to work until it's done, then what usually happens? It tends to just never get done. It just expands, right?
Yeah.
And that thing is exactly why this thing here we're talking about here is so important. We got to give ourselves a point in time where we make a decision. Because if we say, I'm going to think about it, it's like, it just drags on. That's why if you've ever been on a sales call with me, when we talk about Unbreakable Mind, I let you know, hey, you probably don't need to think about it. You probably need more information. If you have enough information, just make a decision. Yes or no, doesn't matter, but make a decision so we can move on, right? And it's for us. So it's really important here is you set deadlines for stuff or allocate resources to something. It may be time, it may be money, whatever it is, but when the time is out, when the budget is over, there needs to be a decision. And that decision is, what's the next one? And then you just take that. So my big here is that if you have 2 hours to do something, and you're really honest about that, you take that accountability thing and say, okay, I have 60 minutes to make this decision, or to set this up. Then at minutes 59, I know that in 1 minute I'm going to press the send button or the publish button or whatever it is, schedule button. Then it's going to force me to make the big pieces work fast first. It's going to force me to just like, okay, what do I have to have work here? So that I can at least not be ashamed of publishing this thing or sending this thing out, right? It's like, So like this call, for example, like I would love to spend maybe 5-6 hours more to perfect it and tune it, but it would never have happened, right? So instead I was okay, I had this idea yesterday, and now we're here, I invited you. It's not the best thing I've ever done, but we're doing something. Right? I'm taking the next thing. And at least I'm not embarrassed. Maybe I should be, but I'm not, so that's good. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's why I push really hard inside on Breakable as well. Like, when will this happen? What's your budget? So you make sure that you do the most important things first, and you know what is important, because the most important things are the things that moves you most effectively to where you want to go. And that you can go however granular you want with that. If you have an email that you want to send, like the example I did yesterday, then I say, okay, I have 1 hour to do this. What's the most important thing? It's probably the email, right? It's probably just getting some type of text in there, and that makes sense. So once I write it, I wouldn't care so much about spelling. I leave that if I have time over. And I probably wouldn't care so much about formatting and fancy pants stuff either, or images, which I rarely have because I run out of time before that. So that's how I know that I'm, okay, the most important thing about this task is the message, right? If I have more time, then maybe I'll add an image. I did that with the gorilla thing. Like, oh, cool, it would be nice to have an image. But I don't start with the image, because if I just send you an image, when it's hour, minute 59 has passed, it doesn't make any sense. Oh, great, got a gorilla image. So you can take that approach all over. Just set the budget, time, resources, whatever, and go at it at the big pieces first. Do the most important things first. And then when the time comes, you make the decision of what the next step is. And the next step is publish, send, call someone. Because if your next step is prepare, like you said, Ina, I think you said something like, I'm going to think about it next. Then I would say, okay, I have 1 hour to prepare. And at minute 60, I send the message. Yeah, go for it, Rich.
Yeah, last question. I just set up a running group, and the Run England have a sort of a website that you can create a page on. So I did that yesterday. And I'm not that tech savvy. And you run into sort of issues. I was trying to get multiple photographs up on to upload. And I could only get one. And I was getting bogged down, and in the end I just gave up. And then I pressed the button, and it's good enough, and I've had quite good feedback. They liked it, I liked the photograph, but it's just one photograph, and it's bugging me that there should be.
Yeah.
So that would spend time to either phone somebody up or check the help or try and work it out, and all of that really bugs me, where you just get these obstacles or these dead ends where you spend time. Any tips on what you should do? Or did I do the right thing by just getting it done and not worrying?
I think you did a lot of great things there. Like, because you could have also said, no, the website isn't finished, I'm not going to publish it. You could have done that, right? But instead you decide, hey, you know what? This is good enough. And I think good enough it's such a powerful word.
Yeah.
And people say, it's something bad. No, if you do good enough all the time.
What would happen if I couldn't have pressed the button to actually get anything up there? So that all I've done is that there's no result for the time I've put into it, because I can't fathom or work out how to get the thing up. I didn't have that problem, but that happens quite often where I'm pondering things and I'm trying to work things out, and it all gets just takes up time.
I wonder if I'm understanding correctly, but a big problem that I see is that I think I have something that's going to take 5 minutes, so I go do that, and then it expands to 60 minutes, and then I lose my mind.
Yeah.
So one of the big things I do there is, like, I don't even, for example, open my phone before 12. I don't answer anyone, because I know if I just glean at that email, that might actually be urgent. and then I might have to do it, and then it screws everything up.
Mm.
But I think what you did there is that you figured out the big pieces already, right? You figured out the most important things,
Hmm.
and you figure
Yeah.
out that one image is good enough. 3
Yeah.
would be better, but 1 is good enough. So I think what I would have done in the future, if I understand correctly, is that I say, okay, good enough looks like this. It's 1 image, it's 1 text, it's whatever, functioning website. And
Yeah.
I would have gone super hard just doing that. And once I have 1 image and 1 text, then I would figure out how much time I have left.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does. Thanks.
So you work super hard towards the good enough vision, and then
It
when
did
you
take me
tested that,
longer
make
than
sure it works.
I probably spent an hour on it rather than a half an hour I intended, because I
Yeah.
underestimated that I would have to fathom things out and not be able to work it out, and then just think, right, quit, just do it. So I didn't time box it, but maybe that's stage 2 to be ruthless with the time allocation.
And I think a detail you might be useful for you would be that every time I schedule something or plan something, I have the deadline, and then I say, okay, I need probably 10%, at least 10% of extra time. So then I just go, oh, whoop, that's my reserve time. That's the first thing I plan out, right?
Yeah.
So I know that, okay, on an hour, the last 10 minutes, I assume that I'm going to screw something up and it's going to take longer time.
Mm.
So that'll be a little buffered at the end. And I do that for everything. If it's an hour,
Yeah.
right? So, that's a great question. I think we all can.
Or you could do it the other
happens to
way.
all of
Say,
us.
I'll allocate 3/4 of an hour, 45 minutes, and a buffer of 10 or 15 minutes. Or
Yeah,
10 minutes,
because
and then only 5 minutes to have your break.
Yeah, exactly. But just assume that we will not be 100% accurate with the assessment of time. And it very rarely goes faster. Right?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I think that's a good. Okay. Oh, anything else?
Not for me.
Any thoughts, Ina? Okay, so
No,
by now
no.
we should have a next step that we have dedicated ourselves to do, right?
Yes.
Cool. So I'm gonna wait 60 minutes, and then I hope I'll see a thumbs up from you guys in my email inbox to just like, yeah, you did it. Otherwise, I'll be after you like I'm always. Sounds good? Is that good? You got into
Tomorrow,
this.
yes.
You got into this, you know? Yeah,
Yes.
perfect. Right. Okay, so that was the main idea that I want to run through today. It's very improvised and stuff like that, but I'm going to end the little stream for the other people watching. And then I would love, if you have the time, just give me 2 minutes and give me your thoughts about this. But everyone who's watching online now, I see there's a bunch of people. Go to unbreakingmind.co and I'll see you there.